You are standing before the National Ignition Facility, a $20 billion mega project where the laws of physics are challenged by human ingenuity.
We are live from the observation deck overlooking the new pulsar complex. As you can see, the perimeter defense lasers are coming online for the night cycle.
My team and I are not just building a power plant. We are attempting to tether a star inside a mechanical cage. To achieve this, I must create an environment reaching 100 million degrees Celsius, several times hotter than the core of the Sunday. The process begins in laser corridors over 1 kilometer long. You can see my engineers aligning each mirror with nanometer precision. A weak seed laser is amplified through 3,000 specialized neodymium glass slabs to become a terawatt-level energy beam. Any deviation, even as thin as a DNA strand, would cause this multi-billion-dollar optical system to shatter instantly. Observe this component. These are deformable mirror mounts. I control them using thousands of microscopic mechanical actuators. We must work in absolute sterile conditions, where every engineer wears specialized protective gear to prevent any dust contamination. The ultimate goal is to focus these 192 laser beams into a single point smaller than a peppercorn. I call it the deuterium-tritium fuel pellet, a tiny mass with the potential for limitless energy. Do you see the synthetic diamond shell surrounding it? I had to polish it so finely that not a single atom is out of place. When the 192 lasers strike, this shell explodes, creating a reaction that compresses the fuel inward at 400 kilometers per second. This is the decisive moment. The pressure inside the fuel pellet is now billions of times greater than the atmosphere you are breathing. I require absolute temporal synchronization. All 192 beams must hit the target within the same billionth of a second. The compression phase is where the laws of nature are pushed to their breaking point. I need to squeeze that fuel to a density 100 times that of solid lead. Look at this target chamber. It's a 10-meter sphere of aerospace-grade aluminum, designed to withstand the violent energy of a mini supernova. I must ensure that the 132,000 kilograms of metal in this sphere don't warp even a fraction of a micron under intense thermal stress. My engineers use X-ray sensors to monitor the structural integrity of every weld in real time. In this environment, failure is absolute. Behind me, the capacitor banks are charging. They are the lungs of this machine, breathing in electricity to exhale pure, raw power. I'm taking you deeper into the amplification bays. This is where a pulse of light grows into a monster that defies description. Each glass slab you see is polished to a flatness, better than 1/20th the wavelength of the laser light itself. I have to manage the thermal gradient. Even a microscopic change in temperature can distort the beam's wavefront and ruin the shot. We use massive cooling systems, circulating chilled nitrogen, to stabilize these optics after every high-energy discharge. Now, observe the alignment process. I use secondary low-power lasers to map the path before the main event fires. The precision required is equivalent to me standing in San Francisco and hitting a dime in Washington, D.C. with a laser pointer. Every mechanical actuator here is responding to AI-driven algorithms, correcting for vibrations even from traffic outside the facility. This is the switch yard. I must redirect 192 beams through a maze of mirrors to surround the target with perfect symmetry. If the beams are not perfectly balanced, the fuel capsule will squirt out like a wet bar of soap instead of imploding. To prevent this, I've installed gold-plated beam dumps to catch any stray energy that fails to hit the microscopic target. Notice the hole round once more. I designed this gold cylinder so that the laser light never actually touches the fuel itself directly. The 192 lasers hit the inner gold walls, creating a symmetric X-ray bath. I am effectively using light to create a stellar-grade furnace. The outer surface of the fuel pellet vaporizes instantly. It's an explosion that drives an even more powerful implosion toward the core. For a few billionths of a second, I have created the most extreme environment in the solar system right here in this chamber. The fuel density becomes so extreme that the atomic nuclei overcome their natural repulsion and begin to fuse. I measure the resulting neutron burst using high-speed diagnostics buried deep under meters of specialized concrete shielding. The shielding is critical. It protects my sensitive control electronics from the massive electromagnetic pulse generated by the ignition. Look at the target assembly post-shot. The energy release is so violent that the high-precision mounting hardware is completely vaporized. You are witnessing the birth of a new era, a sun on Earth, harnessed by the sheer will of precision engineering. But even with this power, my work is just beginning. The logistics of repeating this process every few seconds is our next grand challenge. To move from a lab experiment to a power plant, I need to automate the delivery of these cryogenic targets with zero downtime. Imagine a factory where robotic arms must place these tiny diamond shells every 10 seconds with sub-micron accuracy. I must also solve the problem of debris. Each shot leaves behind a mist of gold and diamond vapor that must be cleared instantly. We are testing high-speed gas jets to purge the chamber, ensuring the optical path is pristine for the next 192 beam strike. Every engineer you see in this bay is focused on one goal: turning this singular breakthrough into a global energy solution. I want you to look closer at the foundation of this facility. To support the target chamber, we had to pour over 15,000 cubic meters of concrete. This isn't just concrete, it's a strategic shield infused with boron to capture rogue neutrons and prevent structural activation. I must constantly monitor the temperature of these walls. Even a 0.5 degree shift could cause the entire 1.5-kilometer beam path to lose its alignment. My team uses laser trackers to verify the position of every optical component to within the width of a human hair across the entire bay. Observe the power distribution system. These heavy copper bus bars carry the massive electrical load from the capacitor banks to the flash lamps. I designed the system to discharge 400 megajoules of stored energy in just 400 microseconds. The peak current is staggering. You can hear the violent crack of the high-voltage switches. Each one is a marvel of electrical engineering, managing thousands of kilovolts. Inside the amplifiers, the flash lamps pump the neodymium glass slabs until they are saturated with energy, ready to be tapped by the seed pulse. I have to replace these flash lamps regularly. The intense UV radiation they emit eventually degrades the quartz envelopes. Behind this steel door is the master oscillator. It creates the original laser pulse, shaped with a temporal profile unique to every shot. I control the shape of this pulse to ensure the fuel capsule is compressed gradually before the final ignition spike. If the pulse shape is wrong, shock waves will preheat the fuel, making it impossible to reach the required density for fusion. My engineers spend weeks simulating these pulse shapes on supercomputers before we ever fire a single millijoule of light. We are now standing at the diagnostic mezzanine. Here, I use ultra-fast cameras that can take images at 200 billion frames per second. I need this speed to capture the implosion in real time. To us, the life and death of a star happens in a blink of an eye. Capturing the birth of a star requires more than just speed. It requires absolute optical clarity. I have to ensure these lenses are free of any molecular defects. Each of the 3,000 optics in the NIF is inspected using automated scanning systems that can detect a scratch smaller than a wavelength of light. I must deal with the phenomenon of self-focusing. At such high intensities, the laser can actually change the refractive index of the glass, causing it to shatter. To prevent this, my team carefully shapes the spatial profile of the beam, ensuring the energy is distributed evenly across the entire surface. Observe the final optics assembly. This is the last line of defense before the lasers enter the target chamber. I have to convert the infrared laser light into ultraviolet. Ultraviolet light is much more efficient at creating the X-ray bath we need. This conversion happens through non-linear crystals. I align them to the exact milliradian to maximize the frequency tripling process. You are looking at the debris shields. They protect the expensive final optics from the high-speed shrapnel generated during ignition. I replace these disposable shields after every shot. They are the sacrificial lambs of the fusion process. Behind this console, my software engineers manage 2 million lines of code that synchronize the 60,000 control points of the facility. I require a reliability rate of 99.99%. A single glitch in the timing system could result in a multi-million-dollar optical failure. We are now moving into the cryogenic logistics area. I keep the fuel pellets at 18 Kelvin using specialized cryo-coolers. I must maintain a perfect ice layer of fuel inside the capsule. Any unevenness in the ice will cause the implosion to become unstable. My engineers use infrared shadowgraphy to inspect the fuel layer in real time, just seconds before the shot is fired. Every detail you see, from the molecular coatings to the sub-zero fuel, is a testament to the precision required for a star to be born. I am initiating the final countdown. The atmosphere in the control room is electric as the capacitor banks reach 100% charge. You can see the status monitors turn green across all 192 beam lines. At this moment, my engineers become mere observers to the laws of physics. The fire signal is sent. In a fraction of a millisecond, 400 megajoules of energy begin their journey toward the target. I must capture every byte of data from this shot. We are generating terabytes of information in a window of time shorter than a heartbeat. Observe the Dante diagnostic system. It measures the X-ray temperature inside the hull round to verify if I've hit the target symmetry. The target chamber is now a vacuum of absolute silence, waiting for the impact that will generate more power than the entire global grid. Inside the core, the hydrogen isotopes are being crushed with such violence that they strip away their electrons, forming a dense plasma. I have to account for backscatter. Some laser light reflects off the plasma and heads back toward the optics, threatening to destroy them. My solution is a series of plasma electrodes that deflect this reflected light away from the primary amplifiers. Look at the high-speed imaging. This is the moment of stagnation, where the fuel has reached its maximum density and the fusion burn begins. A hotspot forms at the center. If I have done my job correctly, this spot will spark a fusion wave that consumes the entire fuel pellet. The resulting neutron flash is so intense, it creates a visible glow in the surrounding shielding, a phenomenon known as Cherenkov radiation. I use neutron time of flight spectrometers to measure the exact velocity of these particles, confirming the success of the ignition. The shockwave from the fusion reaction slams into the aluminum walls. You can hear the structural resonance of the entire facility. The shot is over. Now begins the grueling process of data extraction to see if we have achieved a net energy gain. I am analyzing the debris. After every shot, the gold hohlraum and the target positioners are effectively vaporized into a microscopic mist. I have to ensure this metallic vapor doesn't coat our multi-million-dollar final optics. If it does, the next shot will melt the glass. We use high-capacity vacuum pumps to scrub the chamber. You can see the pressure gauges dropping as we prep for the next maintenance cycle. The heat signature is still intense. I must wait for the structural components to cool down before my engineers can enter the bay. Observe the ablator remains. We study the shrapnel patterns to understand how the shell fragmented during the implosion. I am looking for mix, a phenomenon where the shell material leaks into the fuel, cooling it down and killing the fusion reaction. To combat this, I am experimenting with ultra-thin beryllium coatings. Beryllium is lighter and more transparent to X-rays than diamond. But working with beryllium is a logistical nightmare. It's highly toxic and requires a completely separate ventilation system for my team. Let's look at the laser amplifiers again. After a shot, the neodymium glass slabs are thermally shocked and must be left to rest. I have to manage the cooling cadence. Right now, NIF can only fire a few times a day. For a power plant, I need 10 shots per second. This brings me to the Giga Logistics challenge. I need a continuous stream of cryogenic targets delivered via high-speed rail. I am designing a magnetic injection system that can launch a target into the chamber center while it's still at 18 Kelvin. The target must be hit by the lasers while in mid-air. There is no room for mounting hardware in a commercial reactor. My engineers are testing tracking sensors that can lock onto a falling pellet at 200 meters per second with sub-micron precision. This is the frontier of engineering. We aren't just doing science anymore, we are building the blueprint for a permanent sun on Earth. I must capture the energy released by these neutrons. In a commercial reactor, the aluminum chamber will be replaced by a blanket of liquid lithium. This lithium blanket serves two purposes. It absorbs the heat from the fusion reaction and breeds more tritium fuel as the neutrons strike the lithium atoms. Observe the heat exchangers. I am using the molten lithium to boil water, creating high-pressure steam that drives the massive turbines behind me. The thermal management is extreme. I need to transfer gigawatts of heat every second without melting the structural steel of the reactor. Look at the turbine hall. These aren't standard generators. They are designed for the rhythmic, pulsed energy delivery of an inertial fusion reactor. I have to synchronize the grid with the shot cadence. Every pulse must be smoothed out by massive flywheels to maintain a stable 60 Hz frequency. This is the control room of the first commercial fusion plant. I am monitoring the Q total, the ratio of power out to power in. To be viable, I need a Q value of at least 100. For every megajoule of laser light, I must return 100 megajoules of electricity to the city. We are now standing at the substation. This is where the star's energy finally enters the grid, powering millions of homes with zero carbon emissions. I want you to realize the scale of this impact. 1 gallon of seawater contains enough fusion fuel to equal the energy of 300 gallons of gasoline. My team is already planning the next generation of gigalasers. These will use diode-pumped solid-state technology for higher efficiency. The goal is 24/7 operation. I am building a machine that never sleeps, providing the baseload power for an entire continent. But engineering this future requires more than just machines. It requires a global supply chain for specialized isotopes and nanomaterials. I am looking at the long-term structural integrity. The neutron flux will eventually embrittle the reactor walls, requiring robotic replacement cycles. This is the ultimate blueprint, a synthesis of every engineering discipline known to man, working in perfect harmony. The road to ignition was paved with 60 years of failures, but in engineering, every failed shot was just a data point leading us here. I am looking at a future where energy is no longer a resource we fight over, but a fundamental right as abundant as the air we breathe. From the target chamber to the vastness of the electric grid, we have proven that the star's fire can be tamed by human hands. This is not just a triumph of American engineering, it is a blueprint for the entire civilization of the 21st century. The sun on Earth is no longer a myth. It is a functioning machine, built with 132 tons of aluminum and 192 beams of pure light. As I watch the diagnostics of the latest shot, I see more than just numbers. I see the end of the carbon era. We are the architects of the energy revolution. Every weld, every lens, and every line of code has brought us to this moment. But this journey is far from over. The next breakthrough is already being assembled in the bays behind me. I invite you to be part of this revolution, to witness how we build the world of tomorrow, one megaproject at a time.
It's a bold step into the future of energy science. Experts say the next few years will be critical to realizing its potential.